If I could, just to get things going today, we're going to be joined in just a moment by Congressman Raul Labrador. As you may have heard, it looks as if the vote is off for today or going to be postponed because Paul Ryan just simply doesn't have the votes when it comes to passing the latest so-called replacement for Obamacare. Just to give you a little bit of a rundown of what's going to be happening here, I happened to see a discussion about this with Mike Lee on television last night, and it gave me the impression there's no support for it in the U.S. Senate, which means if you try to push this thing through the U.S. House, then really it's just an exercise in not going anywhere. And I think that that's a particularly important thing to really keep in mind with what we're dealing with, and that is the fact that the coercion that was even tried by the President of the United States to bring along some Republicans on board in the Freedom Caucus with this, of which Congressman Labrador is a member, simply wasn't going to work because these are people who pledged to the voters in their own districts, or sometimes in the U.S. Senate case, Mike Lee being an example, that they would be replacing this, but they wouldn't be replacing it with something that was similar. And so you've got this thing that has been brewing for a stretch now, quite a while, where there just was not going to be anybody budging or compromising on this because they didn't, at least on this particular issue, pledge to the voters in their districts that they were going to be compromising. It's 8:07. Bill Cowley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310. KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And I do want to mention, of course, got a lot to talk about today on a number of issues. There's just so much in the way of news going on nationally, as well as the state legislature may be wrapping up business tomorrow. And a lot of what you might call fast and furious action is going on there as last-minute bills are being debated. We have reactions from around the world to what happened in England yesterday. We also have more reaction as to what happened in Rockville, Maryland the other day. We're likely going to be joined in a few minutes, too, as well, by Dan Tom from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. But in the meantime, we're going to take a few minutes and we're going to speak with Congressman Raul Labrador, of course, representing a wide swath of Idaho, joining us on the air this morning. First of all, Congressman, welcome back to our program. Oh, looks like we've lost the Congressman's call. Would not be the first time that ever happened in live radio. No, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've grown used to some of the issues that crop up when you're working a live radio program. But I believe we have Congressman Labrador with us now. Sir, welcome back to the program.
Hey, great to be on your show. Sorry
Thank
it's
you.
been so hard to get a hold of me. It's been a busy couple of weeks over here.
I can imagine. I was just looking at some of the headlines on Fox News this morning, and it appears that someone has finally come to the realization they don't have the votes to get this thing passed today.
I don't think they do. We have been working with the White House. The White House has been very gracious. President Trump has been negotiating with the leader of the House Freedom Caucus, and we have been talking to. I was at the White House yesterday, met with Mike Pence and other people. Pretty much all the White House staff was there, and we're trying to get to an agreement. But the problem that we have is, as you probably know, is that this bill does not actually repeal Obamacare, and it doesn't do anything to reduce the cost of health care, the cost of health insurance. It doesn't keep any of the promises that we made during the last 6 years. So we're trying to help our leadership to understand that we're not going to go halfway, that we need to keep those promises and help the White House understand that President Trump really wants a bill on his desk because he thinks symbolically it's good, but it has to be more than symbolism. It has to be, do we actually do something to fix the healthcare nightmare that Obamacare brought to America?
Question, I guess, probably you're going to get from a lot of people, as media will bring this up because I guess the folks in media believe that government should always be involved and plays the role of your parents no matter how old you are. But is there a bill that is already being considered by the Freedom Caucus that might be something more amenable?
Absolutely. So we have two bills that we have introduced over the last 2 weeks. The first bill is the 2015 bill that we passed, with almost every Republican voting for it, that repealed Obamacare. That did as close as we could through the reconciliation process to repeal the entire law. It was a good bill. Just about every Republican voted for it. And then we have a second bill that was introduced by Rand Paul in the Senate and by Mark Sanford in the House. And this bill is the replacement bill that brings us back to a free market health insurance and health care system. They're both great bills. They have great ideas, but our leadership has not looked at those bills as the alternative. These are bills that we think could unify the conference because they're bills that get us closer to the promise that we made. If you look at the first line of the current bill, the one that we're debating today, that Paul Ryan and his people introduced, the first line is this bill amends the Patient Protection Act, the Affordable Care and Patient Protection Act. So it's not even a repeal of Obamacare; it's an amendment. So they're trying to fix Obamacare. That's not what we promised the American people. So yes, to answer your question, we have two bills.
And again, media often says there's no replacement or hasn't been, but as I understand, we talked about this months ago, and there was already something that was available.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So we have been working on fixing it. We're continue to work with the administration, and I think we might get to an agreement. And the thing is that today, we have these fake deadlines. Everyone says that it has to be done today, and you know why they want to do it today? It's because today's the 7th anniversary of Obamacare, which is a great symbolic gesture, but we should be about more than symbolism. We should be about substance, about actually getting things done like we promised the American people.
I remember that anniversary. I was there that weekend at the invitation of Michelle Bachmann with the crowd outside. For people who are listening, we've got a couple of minutes. I know you've got a busy schedule. You've got to be going shortly. People tuning in today, how quickly could we have something from your caucus that would be acceptable to the Republicans at large as well as the president?
So it's two steps. First, we have offered an amendment to the leadership and to the president that we think would make their bill as a pretty close alternative to the bill that we have introduced. So if they accepted our amendment, then we could do that today. If they don't accept that amendment, I think we're going to have to go back to the drawing board, and it'll be a couple of weeks before we have something up again. And I have suggested to the leadership, if they're not going to accept our amendment, we need to put we need to get in a room, talk all the factions of the Republican Party, and come out with something that we all agree on. I mean, the oddity about this bill is that it has no natural constituency. The right hates it, the center hates it, the left hates it. Everybody hates this bill. So let's come up with a bill that actually improves the current situation and gets most Republicans to at least like the product that we have, instead of everybody voting for a bill just because they feel obligated to do it because it's because of the symbolism of doing it today.
Do you think that the president perhaps learned the other day that an effort at coercion wasn't going to work?
I don't think the president was trying to coerce. His comments in our meeting were funny more than threatening. I hope what he has learned is that he can't rely on the leadership team to get the votes. So what happened, what I believe happened from the beginning is that Paul Ryan and his team told him, "Oh, we have the votes, don't worry about it." So the president didn't engage until the last week or so. I think now the president needs to understand that he needs to engage early. He needs to bring us all to the table. He needs to get a product that everybody likes before we start touting it as the final bill, the final result.
I know you've got a lot on your plate today, and I want to thank you for taking some time with us. I guess the best thing to tell you would be, please go get them and get it done.
Hey, thank you very much.
Take care, sir.
Bye.
Raul Labrador joining us, a representative, of course, from northern Idaho and parts of western Idaho, too, we should point out as well. This morning on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Bill Colley with you as well. And If you have some reaction to our conversation with the congressman this morning, please feel free to give us a shout. 736-0300. That's 736-0300. A lot of activity going on at the Capitol right now. I was just catching some of it on Fox website here in the last few minutes, and it's a whirlwind of activity going on in order to get these people. And as he pointed out, the current replacement bill is really DOA, dead on arrival, if you need that explained, dead on arrival. On the other hand, as he was pointing out, just to recap quickly, they could today perhaps get moving on one of the other bills that have been proposed just in the last, well, as he pointed out, some of these have been around a very, very long time, despite what media has been telling you. Media was telling you for the last couple of months that the Republicans didn't have a bill that was in place, but it was at least 6 months ago that the congressman was on the air and told us otherwise. A quick note, a couple of other programming notes this morning. We have a visit coming up from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department in a few minutes here on News Radio 1310 KLIX. Got a couple of notes if we can. We were talking about a scam that was making the rounds when we had our last visit with the Sheriff's Department. I don't know about you, but I've been getting some text messages the last few days, and I'm talking anywhere from 15 to 20 a day. And I looked it up, and they're coming from a telephone number associated with Nashville, Tennessee. I have 5 of them. Well, no, 4. I just took a look at my phone. 4 of them on my phone right now, and they come up as 901-498, and then a whole series of numbers from 8101 to 8109. And perhaps there may be something we could learn a little bit about that too, and who's behind that, and what you should be aware of. In other words, don't reply to that particular message. Also wanted to mention our friends at Western Visions, Inc., which is a company that's been doing business here in southern Idaho. And they do renovations, often historic buildings, historic homes. They can also come in and do a residential remodel, additions. They can do a kitchen and bath renovation as well, whole home redesign and retrofit. And I think I told you many, many times that I got a chance to tour an old farmhouse that is being turned, and this is over in Declo. One of the rooms in this house is believed to be the oldest standing structure in Cassia County. It's being turned into a private lodge. It's going to be very, very nice from what I could see. After I took one look at that fireplace, which covers nearly one entire wall, uh, how do you put it this way? Envy is not always a good thing, but sometimes envy is a way to encourage you to greater success in life so that you can have some of the amenities that you see in a project being designed by Western Visions, Inc. And I'd like to tell you, if you'd like to know more, you can get in touch with Western Visions, Inc. by going to the web, and that's western-visions.com. That's western-visions.com. And sometime soon, I hope to get back out there and actually see what the finished product's like so I can tell you some more details on that. And also another quick note, as long as I'm talking about some of the friends of this program, tomorrow morning between 8 and 10 o'clock, we're going to be live at the Jerome McDonald's. We're doing the entire show there tomorrow morning. You can drop by and see us. We're going to have some of the Jerome County commissioners as well. They'll be joining us, and if you have a comment or question, they'll be talking on air with us at some point, but if you have a comment or question with them, you can also have a chance to maybe have a cup of coffee with them too while they're visiting with us. And we're also going to be doing our firearms show from there tomorrow, which makes sense because Jerome County is really the hub when it comes to, well, when you're looking to go out and actually do a little target practice, work on the range. It's a great place to do it. Also wanted to mention our friends this morning too at Mount Harrison Audiology in Rupert. Now, there are many choices available for hearing health care. People have been asking me why would they choose Mount Harrison Audiology. Well, compassion. Dr. Christine Pickup and her staff pride themselves on caring for each individual with customized and personal treatment plans. Mount Harrison Audiology cares about your health goals and is going to work with you to provide the best care possible. You can telephone Mount Harrison Audiology for your appointment today, 208-312-0957. That's 312-0957. Bill Colley with you this morning on Top Story, and it's a great day.